welcome to another wonderful, fantastic, brilliant, exciting episode of Geeks and Goblins. Utopian Revolt, how are you feeling today?
Man, it's been a good day. I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to be on another episode of Geeks and Goblins, number 14.
Whew.
We're here, man. We're here, and I'm excited about what we have to talk about today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Every time we add a number to that list, man, I'm just like, damn, we did it. Like, every time I'm just like, yo, we made it. I feel like we always start the show off with like, yeah, another episode, but like really, it is kind of like a momentous thing. I think of so many people that like want to start a podcast or a talk show and it just never gets off the ground or like never gets past conceptualization or like the first episode. So like, I'm just very proud of us.
I also was talking to one of our coworkers that also has a podcast of his own with his friends, and he let me know that on his newest episode, they gave us a shout out. So I want to repay the favor and give a shout out to the Maniacal Cadre for their wonderful formatted podcast where it's just friends having drinks, talking to each other. It's a good fun. So if you guys want to find them, they're on Spotify. Great group of people.
Oh yeah, shout out to the Maniacal Cadre. Love the content. Love the content. I actually got to finish listening to the last episode I was listening to. I got like halfway in. Really good content coming from those fellas.
Absolutely. You can tell that they've definitely been around. They have a lot of life experience. It's always fun.
And those are like the best podcasts. If we're allowed to like riff a little bit before we get into the show, like the best content is like well-seasoned content. Anybody would know what that means. Just like content that comes from like a truthful place and like an honest place of like learning and having wisdom and knowledge. That's the best kind of like any type of content, TV, music, podcasting. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Right. It has that heart, that soul to it. You know what I'm saying?
There we go. Heart and soul. I like that. Let's get on into it. I guess I will. It's been a while since I kicked off the weekly roundup. I feel like I'm always like, hey, Utopian Revolt, you want to kick off this? So like, I'll go ahead and kick it off today. Beginning the weekly roundup, Kevin Feige says we'll hear more about Marvel's next big saga in the coming months, and I think it's worth saying that we're going to change that that little bulletin point right there to Marvel is officially going to be at Comic-Con.
Ooh,
boy.
Oh my. So if E3 season is the holiday period of the video game industry, Comic-Con is 100% the holiday period of the movie and TV industry.
Oh, absolutely. And they're going to be in the prestigious Hall H. Like, it speaks volumes to hear that that's where they're going to be. That's where they show up when they want to, like, when they're bringing something to the show. They're not just like, oh, yeah, we got a few movies here. But I think the dope thing about that is we're also getting... So that's July 21st through 24th. And we know that D23, which is Disney's expo, takes place this year as well. I always forget the date, but it's just September 9th. That's when it's happening this year. So I mean, with just a few months between, we're gonna have Marvel at Comic-Con and then Marvel at D23, just dropping bombs, baby, just dropping bombs.
I cannot wait, man. I really don't know what direction they're taking the MCU. I feel like the last couple of TV shows and movies we've gotten, it really can go anywhere. A lot of people are speculating Secret Wars, and I think that'd be freaking cool. But who knows? We'll find out shortly, I think.
Indeed.
All right. So the very next topic in this weekly roundup is this week's Nintendo Direct was all about Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and from what they've shown off, it looks like it takes the best aspects of the first two games and kind of, delivers what people have wanted. I've seen a lot of positive reactions to the Nintendo Direct, but me personally, I haven't played either of the first two games. It's always been on my radar, and maybe now with this game coming out, I'll have to just give it a shot.
Oh yeah. Xenoblade has always been one of those games that's been on my radar, but I've just never really pulled the trigger on. Like, I'm very selective on my JRPGs, meaning I love Kingdom Hearts and I love Final Fantasy, and that's kind of where the love has almost always stopped. So I do really need to dip my toes into that content a little bit more. Also, shout out to Oh God, it was literally just on the top of my head. Oh man, I haven't finished it, and I'm thinking about playing it on stream. Fire Emblem, Fire
Fire
Emblem.
Emblem.
Jesus, I just talked about it. I hate that was there and now it's gone.
Oh man, didn't like they have a new game that just came out too, right? And it's been getting some really good reviews.
Yeah, it's in the style of sort of the Dynasty Warriors. Muso, I believe, is the correct phrasing for those types of games. If you're familiar with Dynasty Warriors, that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully, I think I might just go ahead and pick up Xenoblade Chronicles and give it a try. I've heard way too many good things about it in the last couple of years. Set to release July 29th?
That's very soon. Oh
It's
my
really
God.
soon.
Okay.
Nintendo likes
That's
to
kinda-
do that, though.
Right. Yeah. They do their own thing all the time.
Oh yeah, Nintendo's quick to be like, "Hey, we're gonna have a direct on this new game. By the way, you can buy it next month." So definitely not a bad thing, but like, sheesh, give me some like. This year's been kind of crazy. I need time for my wallet to recover, man.
Right, and I think it's only going to get crazier from here on out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh god, moving on. Speaking of getting crazy, this is probably not a this year thing, but Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 insider has leaked a supposed Call of Duty RPG. Like, these words just don't even mesh well together in my head. Can you take the reins on that? You've done a little bit more of the digging than I have.
Right. So supposedly it's going to be open world. It is going to be following the events of the main story for Modern Warfare 2. I don't know what else to say other than that. It's really like I feel like even with these leaks coming out and a little bit more information delving into what type of game it is, it's still hard to believe that something like this is actually coming into fruition. We'll have to wait and see for an actual confirmation. But a Call of Duty RPG is something that I feel like a lot of people have kind of wanted over the past decade or so. And now we're finally getting one. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool.
I mean, I guess I just don't know what that even like looks like. You know, I'm even taking like a minute to read this this little I guess you want to call it a press release. You know how I feel about leaks and rumors. I'm a believer past the first word of the title, and I just for me like I don't know, man. Like not to say that's out of the realm of possibility. It's just like what does a COD RPG even look like? Can I like I see inspired by Escape from Tarkov, which I guess that would be kind of cool. Open world. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I'm not excited. A new type of game definitely piques my interest, but I'm not going to say I'm not excited.
Right. I don't know. We're just gonna have to wait and see. And I think we might get an announcement on that maybe after Modern Warfare 2 comes out. So later this year, probably.
Indeed.
Now, speaking of D23 and news coming later this year, apparently Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order's Cal Kestis is rumored to be getting his very own Disney Plus TV series, and that just makes way too much sense.
Sorry, I woke up. I had a just brief nap I had to take there. Something bored me to sleep. I'm sorry. It was Cameron Monaghan. Look, I feel like I'm saying this a lot lately on all of our shows. I feel like I have to say this every time we talk about Star Wars. I am all for more Star Wars. In other eras of Star Wars. Tell me, please, what more do we have to say about this era? I like that it doesn't really go into the Skywalker stuff a lot, so for that I'm grateful. But, and I'm going to stick by this, Cal Kestis is a wet rag of a character in the Star Wars mythos for me. Useful, but at the end of the day, if you leave it out for too long in the air, it's gonna get stinky and just boring. And that I'm not moved by Cal Kestis. Second Sister was a substantially more interesting character. And now give me a show on the Second Sister. Give me that, but I'm not here for it. I do not support.
So with Fallen Order, I think I would agree with you, but with Jedi Survivor and potentially a whole Disney Plus series, I feel like we might be able to get a little bit more of a personification that vibes a little bit better with you with Cal Kestis.
Potentially. I mean, whether or not it's going to happen yet, we do not know. We will see. Jedi Survivor definitely looks interesting to me. I'm very curious as to who the man in the back to take is. I'm heavily rooting for Revan, but you know, given how I feel about the most recent Star Wars series that has been on Disney Plus, I cannot sit here and say with a full heart that I'm all the way excited for another one.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And I will segue from that into something else that I'm horrendously unexcited about. Kraven the Hunter star Aaron Taylor Johnson confirms a major departure from the comic book. Let's call it what it is. They have transformed Kraven the Hunter into Kraven the Hugger. They're removing, apparently, they're taking away his need for the hunt of apex predators and turning him into an animal lover and protector of the natural world? I don't know.
But that's like, I don't know. I mean, we've seen a lot of comic book properties, namely Miss Marvel, taking liberties with their source material, but this sounds like it's a completely different character at this point.
Yeah, you know, like, at what point are you taking creative liberties and are you making a whole new character? I have always had gripes with Sony's need to turn villains, specifically Spider-Man villains, into these anti-heroes. And
It's Morbin time.
Yeah, all the time. And, you know, for whatever reason, like, sure, in the comics, some of these guys walk a moderately fine line between, like, hero and villain to make them anti-heroes, but some of these characters, they're just kind of pushing the wrong way. That's not the introduction, you know? Kraven the Hunter's hunted Spider-Man for sport. Like, come on, man. He wears a freaking lion's face as a jacket. I'm not here for this. Like, the sooner we let this one fail, maybe some of the big wigs over at Sony will finally sit down and be like, oh, hey, you know, maybe we don't know what we're doing, and we should stop.
Yeah, just stick to the animated stuff. Stick to Into the Spider-Verse and all that.
Please, and God, maybe don't even give us the third one. Give us the second one and just be done with it, so they don't destroy what's already been amazing. I'm if you can't tell, I'm not excited for Kraven the Hunter at all.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, like, it's an unrecognizable villain at this point. Like, it's not even a villain anymore. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Just maybe, we'll be able to have Marvel take a swing at some of these characters, Marvel Studios. But look, who knows?
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, speaking of maybe, no, that's a bad segue. Let's
Speaking
just
of
go
maybe.
right to it.
I like that.
Moving on to our very first topic. It's a big one. We're going to be talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale, give our review for the finale, but also give our review for the entire first season. And yes, I said first season because we will manifest another season together.
Oh, God.
That's how good this finale was, in my opinion. But you know what? I digress. OgGoblin, my good friend, I would like you to take the floor, sir.
So, let's get this out of the way. This is your spoiler warning. If you have not finished episode 6, or really Kenobi at all, please go away. We want you here, but not that bad. Like, go away. We don't need to be the Twitter message. We don't need to be the Twitter rant, the TikTok video, the Instagram post. Those guys at Geeks and Goblins ruined Kenobi for me. No, we didn't. We told you to leave. This is your chance to leave. That's why we're playing a non-spoilerly trailer. The first, 2 or 3 episodes. This is your chance. 5, 4, 3, 2, and done. Kenobi episode 6. Oh, man. If you are a Star Wars fan, this is the episode that you have been waiting for. We may have said that about the last episode, and frankly, it may have been true. But this episode, story, action, character development. It, I'm just saying, Qui-Gon Jinn, like,
let's go.
Everything that you could have potentially hoped for out of this series, these last 2 episodes have kind of given us. And Kenobi episode 6 delivers on so many levels. It's honestly kind of hard for me to sit here and and even kind of think about things that it did not do well. And I can really only think of one, and that's the one plot line that we all knew wasn't going to go anywhere. So I have to start this off with giving Kenobi a solid, episode 6 anyway, a solid 5 out of 5. This episode did very little wrong, and for what it did do wrong, I can live with it just based off of what they gave us.
Yeah, can't say I disagree. I also will join the 5 out of 5 bandwagon for this episode. This finale was perfection. Does that mean that objectively it made no mistakes? No, not at all. But it gave me everything that I ever wanted from this series. It made me hopeful for a continuation, which I didn't even know I wanted until I saw Qui-Gon Jinn talking to freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh
my God, they tied up all these threads. Everyone was so worried about the continuity of the show. Oh, why does Leia not know who Obi-Wan is in episode 4? Now we freaking know. It's because Obi-Wan told her, hey, listen, for the best, we should pretend like we've never met each other. Oh, listen, from Leia. Leia was one of our biggest criticisms from the very first couple episodes, right? The last 3 episodes, I feel like they completely ironed out any issues with the writing regarding her character. The whole, I don't know, man. I'm getting way too excited for my own good. But I want to give a very quick shout out to the cinematography in this episode. Namely, when we saw Vader versus Obi-Wan. This is the first time I think we've ever seen lightsabers illuminating the entire scene. There was no lighting other than the freaking lightsabers. It was so cool. Then we see Vader's freaking helmet get slashed in half, and we see Hayden Christensen with the creepiest Darth Vader scene I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah.
He gives Obi-Wan a moment of relief, saying, "You are not who killed me. I am who killed Anakin." And then we immediately see his face going from blue and red, going straight to red, and saying, "And I will destroy you."
Bro.
My God! Go ahead.
I'm just. You're bringing back just the memory of the episode for me. I've only seen it the one time, and oh my God, just it does so much right. I want to riff off of what you said there about little Leia, who again I do a disservice to by not knowing the actress's name. I feel like in my age now I'm starting to just all the actresses and all the actors start to blend together. So I apologize, but. I have to give a shout out to her and the writing team, honestly. I think what that character needed was to be a lot milder. I feel like Star Wars fans are a little too picky to have a loud, obnoxious, very headstrong child character that's not written at a 10-star level for them. I just feel like Star Wars fans aren't there yet. Star Wars fans aren't there yet in a lot of ways, if we're going to be completely honest. But, I feel like in these last 3 episodes, they definitely kind of figured out her dialogue and her place on the show. And I don't want to say dumbed her down, but they milded her out, I guess you could say. They mild the character out, and I think it served her very well. I think it served her very, very well. On the topic of the big topic, right? The Vader Obi-Wan fight. I just feel like it has been years in the making. The highlight, of course, is the moment that you talk about when Vader finally gets that's the left side of his mask destroyed, and they've done so well in using things as storytelling devices, as far as cinematography and direction, from episode 4 where we finally got that flashback sequence, and that kind of back and forth was telling was the ebb and flow of the episode. It was giving and taking and giving and taking. And here again we get the use of light as another storytelling device, that flicker of Anakin and Darth Vader going back and forth. And I think you said something that was super important that I really want to touch on. Seeing Anakin that way in live action felt very different. We've seen it in Rebels. And I feel like it didn't tell all the story. Here in Kenobi, though, I think it turned Vader into something that people have referred to him as, but we've never really ever seen, but a monster in a lot of ways. Vader is a boogeyman in a lot of ways. He is a film monster, but he's always come across as the android, the robot, the 7-foot tall robot that's gonna catch up to you, Space Jason Voorhees, or Michael Myers for that matter. But seeing the destroyed face and in the look in his eyes, and I think the most terrifying thing for me, which I've seen nobody talk about, that smile.
Yes.
That smile. It was utterly terrifying to see Vader in that way. We've never seen him like that before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Real quick, the actress who played young Leia is Vivian Lyra Blair.
Thank you.
So shout out to her. I think she did
Vivian.
a wonderful, very, very well done. Now to riff off something that I saw in the live chat real quick, because I feel like it is super, super important. Not just seeing half Vader, half Anakin, but also hearing half Hayden Christensen, half James Earl Jones. That whole scene was masterfully done, and it's not something that is necessarily terribly unique for Star Wars to have that light play, indicating someone falling deeper into the dark side. We saw it a little bit in The Force Awakens in the bridge scene with Han Solo and Kylo, but I think the way it was done in this episode was even more impactful than back then. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Obi-Wan Kenobi for being possibly the only character we've ever seen beat Vader's ass on screen.
On screen,
man.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi had, from the very beginning of the show, we saw a very broken man, but this episode showed the resurgence of the Jedi Knight that we've always known that he is. What a freaking sequence. But yes, it was really terrifying to see Vader the way he was. I think it really kind of so we knew exactly where everything was going to end up, because episode 4 and the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy all follows this story that we already know happened. But I think with that scene alone, any hope of Anakin being Anakin, or maybe realizing what he's doing, who he's become, all that hope was just dead the moment that he smiled and just freaking promised Obi-Wan Kenobi that he would destroy him.
Oh, absolutely. We see Vader. We see Vader, and most importantly, Obi-Wan sees Vader. So much so that he doesn't say goodbye, Anakin. He says goodbye, Darth.
Yeah.
He got exactly what he saw, exactly what he needed to see, and that was closure for him. Just like anybody, closure is super important, right? And something that would have always been eating away at Obi-Wan is that idea that Anakin's there and Anakin can be saved. And to hear what he thought was Anakin, it really be Darth Vader say, like, I killed Anakin Skywalker. He's done. He's dead. There's no more. It's only Darth Vader. He needed that. He needed that from the first time we saw him in episode 1 till that moment. And prior to that, in this episode, he came back to himself prior to that. But that was kind of what sealed the deal. I feel like as a storytelling device, had he walked away with doubt, he would not have been able to be in contact with Qui-Gon. He needed Vader to seal the deal and say it's over. It's done with. and it's so powerful, especially as being a side of that story we've never seen before. These are the things that I like to see in a new Star Wars series taking place in the era that we exist in. Story elements that are important and move the story closer to what we're familiar with. And newer things like The Mandalorian that tell a story we haven't seen before that could potentially tie in interesting ways. What I don't like to see is a very angry child woman hunting down a child that we know is not going to die.
Yeah. It felt, I don't know, it felt like they needed to do something to build up suspense, but I mean, can you even really say that when you know nothing is going to happen?
You can't. How do you build suspense for a situation when Darth Vader is in the other scene? Like
You're right.
You know what I mean? We are talking about a character that is consistently in top 10 movie villains of all time in an era of very complex Marvel villains and powerful DC villains and even more complex horror villains in the last 2 or 3 decades, right? Like in that era, how do you have a character like Reva, alternating scenes with Darth Vader, especially when your audience knows what's going to happen? The most irritating thing to me is not so much even that the scene happens, but even its resolution doesn't mean anything to us. It doesn't.
Anyways,
like it just,
go ahead.
It just doesn't lay any foundation for anybody besides Reva, who I don't know if maybe Disney thought that people were going to like fall in love with Reva, and I want to make it very, very clear this is no shade to Moses Ingram. She did a fantastic job as always with the material that she was given, but I do not think they wrote a compelling enough character to not kill her off in a situation where she obviously would have been killed off. Anybody else would have been killed off. It doesn't make sense. There's no foundation to lay there. She hunts Luke, succeeds, and then chooses not to kill him, which we all knew was going to happen. And then she just disappears after, she throws her lightsaber on the ground. There's no, what are you going to do now? Where are you going? It's just a trailer that we're going to see in like 2 or 3 years that's either going to be for the Reva show that nobody asked for, or for her pop-up appearance in Mandalorian season 4 or whatever. They attempted to lay the foundation for nothing as far as I'm concerned.
I feel like the fact that she's still around in the galaxy can lead to some very interesting storyline. I feel like for this show, she wasn't the best character, but I did think the closure that we got with her at the very end, basically rejecting to turn into Vader the same way that Obi-Wan basically told her. I thought that was kind of cool. I felt like that was the most connected that I felt with Reva throughout the entire show. So there is something to work with there. Moses Ingram, like you said, she did a fantastic job. Some of the acting that we've seen from her in this show was some of the best that we've gotten in the entire show from anybody. But of course, writing has a lot to do with how people react to a character. So given the right script, given the right context, I feel like Reva could be a good character. The same way I personally feel like Cal Kestis can still be a very good character. Now, we have to remind ourselves that, especially in Star Wars, we've seen characters like Ahsoka get introduced and be basically the butt of the joke for years until she no longer was the butt of the joke and became one of the fan favorite characters. So we do have some examples that we can kind of follow, right?
Yeah.
But I will agree with you. It didn't really feel earned in this episode. But I don't know. Who knows? We can't really speak as to what we're gonna get in the future. If we do get Obi-Wan season 2, I wouldn't be surprised to see her come into play, and I think it'd be interesting. Her and Obi-Wan discussing certain things. But yeah, that's all in the future.
All in the future. Let's get the closing this out, I suppose. Reva. Who knows? Maybe we see her again later down the line. Am I opposed to it? No. You know, as long as we get like some strong storylines there, I'm all about the strong storylines. You know, strong character development, strong storylines. As long as they give us that, I'm on board. But right now, they're gonna have to convince me. There's
Yep.
not a lot to say about Qui-Gon popping up besides holy shit, Qui-Gon popped up. But another prediction that I made in our first review of Kenobi. Very happy to see it. Ewan McGregor looks not Ewan McGregor. Jesus, what's wrong with me today? Oh my frickin' gosh, Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson looks healthy.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah,
looks
he
like
does.
Qui-Gon. Something I was worried about when I saw him standing there. I was like, please don't turn around and not look like Qui-Gon. He looks healthy. He looks
It
good,
does.
but not a lot to say there. I think
No.
those of us in the who kind of felt it in the Force knew that he was going to pop up at some point during the show. But it was good to see him. You know, it's good to see that Obi-Wan finally made that connection. And you know, it's good to have that little bit of fan service.
No, absolutely. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't until the very end of the episode. I think it would have been cool to see him pop up every now and then, maybe even see him interact with Vader in some shape or form. I feel like that definitely would have messed up with Vader, messed up Vader's mentality going into the whole fight. But the fact that we got him at all, fantastic. And I think this is going to be the year of Qui-Gon, because we are also getting Tales of the Jedi later this year, and it is
True.
going to be showing Qui-Gon as well, being played by Liam Neeson's son, actually. So that's
True.
going to be really cool. Now, I do have a couple, I have two questions
Yes.
going into the ending of this segment. Number one is, what is your rating for the entirety of the season? And number two is, do you think / want another season of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
My rating for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually gonna answer these backwards. To
Okay.
answer your second question first, no. I said it. I'm gonna become a broken record as often as I say this. We just move on from the Skywalker saga. Give us more. There's so many more interesting stories to tell in Star Wars. So many corners of that galaxy that we've never even gone to. We know for everything that Obi-Wan Kenobi accomplished, it's still a cash grab. It's still
Oh, yeah.
a ratings grab. You know, they want to get people subscribing to Disney Plus. They want to get people watching. You know, regardless of the quality of whatever episodes, you know, that's what it is, and that's okay. That's fine. That's the same thing with the Marvel stuff. I have to say that for everything. With that said, there's a lot of the Marvel stuff too that I don't want to see a second season of, just because I don't think they're doing these TV shows justice. Giving us 6 episodes, not fully fleshing out characters, going through rewrites for some shows. Obi-Wan went through rewrites. And a lot of people argue that that is probably what made the show suffer in a lot of the ways that they have said that it suffered. So with that said, no, I really don't want a second season. I know where Obi-Wan ends up after this, and that is with a older Luke telling him about his father and starting to teach him in the Jedi ways. That is where I want to see my Obi-Wan end up. If they're not going to give us his love interest, whose name escapes me at the moment, if they're not going to give us any of those other great legends stories from Star Wars of yore, then I just don't need it. I don't need what I know is going to be a cash grab. And to answer your first question, collectively, I give Kenobi a very solid, very, very solid, I'm unwavering on this, 3 out of 5.
Yeah,
I
five.
think there's just too much there that was negative and didn't make me fall in love for me to give it a solid 5 or even a 4. I think a lot of us came into the series wanting set pieces, wanting key moments, and we got those, but I don't feel like they built around them very well. Like, are we even going to get a full understanding of that tomb of Force sensitives that we saw? And I'm never going to remember the name of this place, but the Inquisitor headquarters. Are we ever going to Fortress Inquisitorius or Inquisitoris? Are we ever gonna get an explanation for that? Like, what's the whole deal? Does it tie back into Grogu, or why they want Grogu? I just don't know if what surrounded the meat of the bones of Kenobi was really good meat. So for me, I have to give it a 3 out of 5.
I think that's fair enough. I personally will give the first season 4.5 out of 5. I think that the highs that we got are some of the highest highs we've ever gotten from Star Wars, period. And I think that the negatives and some of the more filler-esque parts of it didn't really like detract much from the experience of watching this, from the joy that I got of seeing Ewan McGregor back on the screen as Obi-Wan Kenobi, from how much it felt like Star Wars to me. I know one of your least favorite episodes happened to be one of my favorite episodes, where they did go to Fortress Inquisitorius, and it felt kind of like A New Hope. It felt like they were just on the Death Star trying to escape. I thought that was so cool. Followed by the next episode feeling like Empire Strikes Back, and then this final episode kind of feeling like Return of the Jedi in some ways. And I don't know. This felt like peak Star Wars to me. I personally do hope we get a season 2, and I hope they take it in a different direction. Don't make it more about set pieces. Make it more about Obi-Wan, and more about just Obi-Wan as a character, him as a person, and him learning more about the Force with like Qui-Gon, for example. I feel like if you make it more of a character, it could be very, very interesting. We don't need to see all this flashy stuff. And honestly, after this first season, I don't think there is room to give him more flashy quests and assignments, because he's going to have to lay low after that last Vader. And honestly, if we see him encounter Vader again before A New Hope, that would kind of take me in the other direction, where I feel like disappointed. I feel like it messes with continuity a little bit. But yes, I am very, very happy with what we got of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and hopefully we get a sequel in some shape or form. Maybe an animated show, maybe a video game, maybe a comic book series or a novel series. But I do want to see more continuing from this point of the show.
We will see. We will see. We do know that Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor do want a season 2. Again, I don't know where it would go. But, you know, all things are possible through the Force. So,
Right.
So, time will tell. Time will tell. With that said, we are now putting a pin in Kenobi as we move on to our next topic of the evening, the lovely Kamala Khan, the lovely Miss Marvel. Let's talk about it. Episode 3. I think it was a delight. I think it was a treasure. You know?
I think it definitely was the least important episode of the show so far. Ooh. And I feel like Dominic Toretto, if he was part of this universe, he would have had a big ass smile on his face, because this episode was all about family. Oh man. But I want to just start this off by giving massive props to Iman Vellani. Her acting is just, you can't even tell she's acting. You would think that she's actually Kamala Khan. Some of the like ways that she delivers her lines feels so natural, so genuine. That's what gets me about this show. Everything just feels like it's actually happening, and I keep gushing about this show. But this episode for me was a very nice 4 out of
4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. Huh. Okay, I will admit, this is, I actually agree with you and disagree with you on like 2 separate points. It's really weird. So I actually think this is a very important episode. As far as like, this is an episode that builds out a little bit more of the MCU, right? We get the connection to the 10 Rings, which was completely left field. We get a potentially dead Kree body, which is so important. You know, we find out that she is descendant of Jinn, which is night and day difference from the comics. Night and day. I mean, even down to the Clandestine, which are a very obscure group in the comics. Very, very obscure group. I certainly didn't know who they were, and I had to do digging, even with my like comic creators that I follow, and like the research that I had to do, and most people don't know who the clandestine are. They're that rare to be seen, so it's interesting for them to have gone that route. I do like the twist to kind of make her powers a little bit more in line with her heritage, I guess you could say. I do like that they're trying to increase like the cultural footprint of, you know, the character and her background and her history, as to, you know, replace what they had in the comics for her reasoning for being, you know. I love everything that they do around her culture, and I think it's funny that that is the best part of the show. A superhero show is, you know, they're diving deep into, you know, into her culture, her Pakistani culture, you know, her being Muslim. Like, it's so interesting to see them go to this place, and they go in such a, from what I can tell, a respectful way. You know, it's not made light of, it's not made fun of. They're showing those deeper parts, you know, those deeper things, the process of getting to her brother's wedding, and the process of the wedding, and what it's like to be there, and what it's like to be family in that situation. Like, it's just so interesting for me to see Disney go to this place, and I super respect it. And I hope that for these final 3 episodes, we continue to get that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just want to say real quick that wedding was some of the most fun I've ever freaking seen on TV.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to be there. They're dancing freaking awesome. Like that was a really cool moment. Seeing also just throughout the episode little moments where Kamala was having a heart to heart with her mother, and then her brother was having a heart to heart with her father. It just, you know, if I felt very warm and fuzzy throughout the whole episode. And then we also have to definitely discuss the fact when the Department of Damage Control, they went to the mosque and they just started demanding that they just have free reign of the mosque so they can search. And then Nakia just comes up and just basically calls them out, saying that they feel like they can do whatever they want because they're brown.
On that boss energy.
Ooh, listen, bro. Nakia, I think, is possibly my favorite character of the show so far. She is amazing. And yeah, like you said, boss energy. That was really. But yeah, I mean, this episode dove even deeper to who Kamala is, what defines her, which really is her family and friends and her connections around her. And I guess it makes it feel even more like a Disney Channel show. But I freaking liked it a lot.
It does so much right. It just does so much right. So I will say though, it doesn't give us a whole lot, right? It was very quick in the sense that, okay, we learn about the clandestine, and we need you to like, your grandmother like had the bangle, and we don't know what happened in between then, and we need you to help us get us home. And like, yeah, I'm gonna help get you home, and cool, and now the wedding, and hey, I'm not gonna be able to help them get home right now. I'm like, all right, cool, we're just gonna come get the bracelet ourselves. Like, I will, if there was a weak part to the episode, it was that it was very like breakneck on their turn on Kamala. And you know, I guess it makes sense. For 6 episodes, you kind of have to get that plot moving. But that was probably the only weak spot for me. As well as the fight scene kind of frustrated me. She was a little too effective in the fight for me, for, you know, having 0 fight experience, just, you know, light training with her powers. Does it bother me a lot? A little. It does bother me a lot. There's no good reason. These people have been around for decades, since you know, for decades, and there's just no reason why we shouldn't view them as anything less than, you know, fully proficient combatants, like expert combatants. And they couldn't take out a little girl. They couldn't take out a teenage girl. So I mean, their threat level died down for me. And immediately, as soon as the Department of Damage Control came in, they were just like, oh, in handcuffs. Like, one of those guys was definitely giving, like, super strength vibes. And then just in handcuffs. I was so baffled by that. I was so bothered. I'm like, dude, what are these guys really a threat? Like, who's the threat going forward if they're all in handcuffs, or are they just going to break free?
I mean, I think they're definitely going to be breaking free. I feel like this is not the last that we've seen of that group. But to your point, they have been around for decades, which makes the whole, oh, we can't give Kamala a day for her wedding or for her brother's wedding. Like, why are they in such a rush? They've been exiled from their house for or from their home for around 100 years at this point. Why can't you just wait a little bit longer? Why do you have to do it that specific day? Yeah, it felt very weird. But maybe, I guess, an explanation as to why Kamala was effective. It did seem like a lot of her protective abilities kind of just came out instinctively. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there was one portion of the fight where she got hit directly, but then we see her her powers kind of just covering her chest, and she just seemed kind of shocked by that. So I don't know. It could just be a little bit more to the whole Nor light thing that they're going with. These powers coming from inside of her. So I don't know. I really don't know.
I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of the switch. I think it's cool, you know, bring the heritage in, bring the Jinn and the Nor and all that. I think that's really cool. But the story we get in the comics is just so much cooler. It's so much cooler, you know, her origin, and then the tie into the Inhumans. Just there's so much there, and I think one of the things, pardon, that disappoints me about the show is we're kind of getting, in a lot of ways, I get more of the teenage girl who wants to, you know, kind of be more than what she is, but just on a like a base level vibe that we get on a lot of TV shows. Like, oh, I want to be special, and, you know, I have these lofty dreams, and my parents don't see those lofty dreams, you know. I get that sense more than a girl who is coming to terms with, you know, her heritage and who she is as a brown girl in this country, especially in a post 9/11 country. I don't get that vibe too much, and, you know, a lot of people don't want that. A lot of people don't care to see that on TV, but it's such an integral part of her character. You know, her wanting to be fairer skinned and, you know, wanting to be accepted. So I think that's such an integral part to the character that we're missing. And I am starting to see that departure more and more, and it bothers me. It bothers me a lot. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the content that we're getting, but I think in the grand multiverse of the MCU, of the worlds that we could have seen, there is that show out there, and I would absolutely love to see that show as well.
We did get, for a good portion of the show, a segment of where she was questioning whether or not she should even be a hero, whether or not she's just going to make things worse for her people.
Yeah.
And I thought that delves a little bit into what you were talking about, but definitely not enough, I think, from what you're saying she's like in the comics. So it was kind of cool to get a little bit of that, but I feel like it was over and super quick.
Oh, absolutely. I think what it does is it kind of switches that understand her own self-understanding from less of a fully personal journey and more of a you know, community-based journey, which is not bad. Again, none of these things are bad things. It's just, you know, I will always think of the story that we could have got. So I don't know. I'm not disliking what we have, not by any means, but, you know, I do think I would have liked to see a more comic accurate take on the character. But, you know, with what we got, I'm hoping that the show gets more traction now that the shadow of Kenobi has dimmed, and, you know, the attention can kind of get drawn to Miss Marvel, and we can really start to see in these last 3 episodes what the rest of the story has to tell, and, you know, where does it all fit in the grand scheme of the MCU. Like I said, the Ten Rings connection was entirely unexpected. The potential involvement of the Kree, given Miss Marvel, given Captain Marvel, it's to a degree to be expected, but now it's kind of like full force a little bit. We just kind of got to see where it goes. I'm really really excited to see what these last 3 episodes bring to the table.
There's no way that Carol Danvers isn't making a cameo in one of these episodes, right?
That's bold. That's bold. I don't think so.
I feel like I've been hearing a lot of rumblings, and it's definitely just, speculation and all that. But a lot of people seem to think that we're going to get both Nick Fury and Carol Danvers at the end of the show. And I feel like right now, these 3 episodes have kind of indicated there's going to be more like Moon Knight. It's going to be more of a standalone, very self-contained story. But with some of these other Easter eggs that have been popping up, especially in this episode, I wouldn't be surprised to see a greater connection to the MCU as a whole going forward.
I hope so. I really, really do hope so. I'm hoping Shang-Chi pops up, or maybe even Wen-Wu pops up, and he's like, "Give me the bracelet," like something. I don't know. Probably not. I'm just like shooting in the dark now. Just shooting in the dark. I don't know what's gonna happen. Miss Marvel, episode 3. What am I gonna give it? What am I gonna give it? I gotta give it a solid 3. Very solid 3. All of the best parts boiled down to everything about her heritage and her people and her community. Everything around that, they kind of lost me a little bit. So I definitely the weakest episode so far for me. And with that, I give it a solid 3. And that was not supposed to rhyme intentionally.
Okay, so that's wrapping up our Miss Marvel episode 3 review, and it leads us to our main event, our main topic, our discussion topic of the day.
Indeed.
And it's gonna be video game culture, and where video games have come from, where they're going, and just basically our thoughts on the entire situation.
Video games. Oh man, if you grew up in the PS2 era of video games, we are in a whole separate beast. Video games are so much more interconnected in our society and our generation now. They're a means of escape, as always, but now you can escape with your friends across multiple different worlds, across multiple different time zones. There's so much to video game culture, and it's so complex now. It feels like you can get drowned in it sometimes, toxicity, microtransactions, the future of it, VR, AR,
Yeah.
Video games are not like they used to be, but is that a good thing or is it a bad thing?
I mean, I don't know, man. It all depends. I feel like with everything else in the world, there is going to be a positive side of it and a negative side of it. Negative side, in my opinion, is the hyper monetization of video games. The intermingling of real life brands with what should be escape. Having the Chipotle stores in Roblox, having a whole metaverse, seeing a lot of games capitalizing on Web 3.0 and trying to use NFTs as a way of making money. That side of it is absolutely negative, in my opinion. Like, it's dangerous, and it completely destroys the point of playing video games. I feel like, I think I saw an article a couple months ago where it talked about the president of Square Enix talking about the future games, and he said that the future games are NFTs and Web 3.0 and the metaverse. But those people who enjoy playing video games for fun will still have their space. What? Video games are supposed to be for fun. That is the whole point of the game part of that freaking title. And it really does make me concerned about where video games are going. But I really do think that some of these other parts, being able to play with your friends anywhere, cross-play, basically removing obstacles to play video games, being able to go on the Epic Games Store and just get a free game instead of having to shell money out for it. All that stuff is really great. Some of the free-to-play games we're getting now better than even some of the paid games we're getting, So that aspect is positive, but it's still a worrying trend.
I don't know, man. I agree. I agree from a whole. I'm definitely not going to take my corporate shill stance here like I typically do, because I do agree with that from a whole. But I do think I do think, like all things, video games will evolve, and the culture of video games will evolve, right? You know, I think one of the first real couple of instances where we saw video games transcend just, you know, the play experience. I distinctly think of three. The one of the three I can't fully remember. I'm gonna have to do like a little bit of a dive right quick to make sure I get the title right. But I can think of two others that come to mind, that are kind of in the vein of what I'm talking about. I think of Rise, Son of Rome, and I think of The Order, 1886. Two games that, you know, for all intents and purposes, are cinematic experiences in Journey as well, on the PS3, if anybody remembers Journey. These games are cinematic experiences. And you can also bring in directors like Hideo Kojima, who clearly want to make movies, or more cinematic experiences. You know, the idea of video games becoming art, we have to accept that we pushed that boundary, right? So we are the ones who, you know, who said, you know, video games aren't just kids games. You know, there are pieces of art. They tell amazing stories, and they do this, that, and the third. And I think what comes with that is also taking responsibility and saying, like, all right, video games, we asked for video games to be more, so we have to accept the consequences of video games being seen in the light of the NFT, or, you know, being placed in the metaverse. I think the important thing is also to understand that that's not what it's all gonna be. You know, we're still gonna get our Borderlands and our Personas and our Assassin's Creeds. We're gonna get all of that, but we are gonna see it in other places as well. So I can't say like that end of the culture bothers me too much, but what I can say is I think it should be taken with caution, because those that are in charge in the video game industry are known to kind of overstep a little bit and say, all right, this is what it needs to be. You know, we're gonna make XCOM NFTs, and you can collect the best soldiers in game, and, you know, and you can sell them off. Like, everything doesn't need to be an NFT.
Right. I feel like, you know, it's funny that you bring that up, because when I say that I worry about it, I feel like I'm worrying more about the executives for these companies and the decisions that they are going to want to make, without necessarily their developers also wanting to take that route, right? As long as we still have a variety of games and we still have developers pouring their heart out on projects, being very passionate about what they're doing, I think video games are going to be the space. But that also brings up another point, right? I feel like, especially now, especially after this post indie explosion that we got at the beginning of last decade, in around the 2010 era, we are seeing more types of games than we've ever seen. There is, if you like a certain type of game, there is a new game like that somewhere around for you. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a casual gamer, you're going to have your Animal Crossings. If you're a competitive gamer, you're going to have your Apex Legends. There's so many different types of games nowadays where you don't really have to worry about sticking to one crowd. And even for genres that would be considered niche, they're still super freaking popular. Elden Ring comes to mind, and the From Software games come to mind. You know, it's really a beautiful thing to see, and I think it's all because of the internet era that we live, information era, where people are able to connect with like-minded individuals, and that is something that we didn't really see much of in prior generations prior to the PS4. PS3 and the Xbox 360 kind of like revolutionized and pioneered that type of, and here we are in that, you know, in that era.
You know, thinking of like revolutionization of like multiplayer games and that kind of connectivity, I always get like I've always been on the fence about it, right? I obviously I love being able to just like hop on my computer or hop on a PlayStation or Xbox and like hit a friend up and be like, yo, join me in this lobby. I love that so much, but I often think of the dark side of that. Maybe calling it the dark side is no. I think the dark side is appropriate. I was thinking the dark side of that. I feel like something that's always bothered me. If you play League of Legends or Overwatch or Valorant or various other online based games, there's that layer of like toxicity and that layer of gatekeeping that kind of came with our desire to push gaming even further past its limits, right? We opened up gaming to the world, and I think a lot of the times we see a lot more good than bad, but man,
Yeah.
We all know the meme of jumping into a league lobby and just being trash. You can't even be a level 1 and just installed the game without being like, bro, why are you so trash at the game? Why are you so trash at the game? Why are you even playing? Go kill yourself. Like, what? Like, when did gaming become that area where we started pushing people away? I know I came into gaming and like fell into gaming, let me put it that way. I know I fell into gaming because so many things were gate kept from me. I wasn't athletic enough, so I wasn't allowed to play sports with the kids, or I wasn't cool enough to be with the cool kids and do whatever they were doing, hanging out at the mall or doing whatever. So I found comfort in video games. And I don't remember a time prior to multiplayer gaming being so prominent that I ever felt like I wasn't part of this club. You know what I mean?
It's the way I see it is that, especially when it comes to game chats for games like League of Legends, it's kind of like Google reviews, right? Google reviews are either going to be people who are really, really happy with a product or service, or people who are really, really, really pissed off at the product or service. I feel like people who basically interact at a very negative and toxic level in games, they just tend to be a very vocal minority. I truly do believe that a lot of people who play video games aren't toxic at all, but
Oh yeah.
the attention's always going to be in the people who are, because they are always pushing themselves onto freaking everybody. But I also feel like it's because of the day and age we live in with social media being around. You go on certain YouTube comment threads, you go on Reddit and Twitter and Facebook. It always seems like people are trying to dunk on each other, trying to make you just tear each other down. It's very sad. But the flip side to that is that we're able to find communities that resonate with us. If you want to have a positive experience with a game, you can team up with friends. You can go to, let's say, low sodium League of Legends Reddit and find like-minded individuals and just play with each other. Just turn off the chat and just enjoy the game. That's always something that you can do, and I think that's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, I guess my problem is I'm part of that like soured minority for a lot of those things. I didn't dive into League of Legends until, I had a group of like friends that were just like, yeah, we'll show you how to play League. And it's so rare to come across that without like super seeking it, because I'm already an introverted person as it is. To a lot of people, I might be surprised to hear that, but yes, I am actually more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. I exert a lot of energy trying to put on a face for you people, but I've never been one of those people that's been like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna head into this forum, or I'm gonna head on to Reddit and just, hey guys, who wants to teach me how to play League of Legends today? I feel like, and maybe this is even a bad thing that's part of that culture. I feel like that's one of the many things that drew people to video games and made it such a popular medium as it is. You could still be the introvert and the shy kid and have a fun experience. You could hop on to just COD and jump into a COD lobby, and of course we are all very familiar with the toxicity of a COD lobby back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s. We're all very familiar with that, but the fact of the matter is you could jump on and have your mic on and find your tribe in a lot of ways. A lot of people I know a lot of people who have lifelong friendships, or started friendships that lasted for a really, really long time, just jumping into a lobby. And of course that still happens now, but I feel like we took that idea of the COD lobby, and we just we shot it up with some steroids and just made games around that idea of like, all right, you get a toxic lobby, and you get a toxic community, and you get a straight community of nothing but like racist and incels. Like that's what you get. Like it just sucks, man, because gaming is not supposed to be that, man. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be a community where people can come together and vibe and appreciate this thing that we fought so hard to let get to where it is.
I think you're completely right. And I feel like I was reading a Reddit thread a couple days ago talking about Chivalry 2 finally coming to console, and everyone being so excited about it. And I was reading the thread, and people were talking about how it's pure fun. It's a game that's not trying to be an esport. It's a game that's not trying to have you come back literally every single day to finish challenges and stuff like that. So, do you think that a lot of the toxicity comes from every game trying to be an esport, where every game is sort of turning into a chore of grinding out weekly, daily challenges to get a progression? Do you think that has a...
Oh, what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was basically finished.
Oh, sorry, I caught you in a pause. I apologize. The gamification of video games, it's so sickening. Like, I don't even know where it really started. Like, the whole daily challenge, and you need to like just log on today, get your daily challenges out of the way. What is with and I can't blame your generation, because I have to blame my generation as well, really. But I first ever really noticed it with Snapchat. That's when I first noticed the whole I gotta log in and do this today. I have to do it. What is it? It's the
snap streaks.
The streaks. Yeah, what is this need to have a daily accomplishment outside of that idea that we need serotonin to pump through our systems for completing a task? And I think there is some positive things to that. For example, Azu does her Duolingo, and she keeps up with it daily, and she has her streak, but at the same time she's learning. Right. It gamifies it a little bit in the sense that you get an achievement for having X amount of time that you've returned to Duolingo and continued your lessons. But what do you get out of a snap streak? Short of you've messaged this friend now every day for 375 days. I just feel like it's a cop-out of an excuse to, still be social, but you're not. You're sending a picture to somebody just to say, oh, I've kept it going. So I that's my first instance that I can think of it. And then, you get into Fortnite for your dailies, so that way you can get your costumes and your dances and your emotes, and it's the gamification of it is insane. And I do think esports plays a big part into the current landscape of the culture as well. I feel like nowadays we play games less for the fun and entertainment, and more for the challenge and the opportunity. Having worked in that industry, I need to remove some of these players that I've made friends with out of the need to discuss things with them for work. But I see people that are grinding out on Rocket League or Valorant, but I don't see that they're playing Rocket League or Valorant. I see that they're running a highlighting clip, an automatic highlighter, an automatic clipper in the background, and that's what Discord picks up, not necessarily the Valorant. And that's what draws my attention. I'm like, wow, you're playing and you're just getting clips. And part of that culture is also streaming and content creation. Everybody wants to do it nowadays. Shade, I'm definitely throwing shade at us too, but everybody wants to do it nowadays. It's part of the culture. Oh bro, you're banging at Rocket League, bro, you should stream. Bro, you're a killer at Valorant, bro, you should stream. Bro, do you stream? You're really good. Everything in this industry now feels like a means to an end.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I feel like that's why I get so worried when I think about Web 3.0 and a lot of the terminology being used by these video game executives makes it sound like video games is turning more into a side gig than it is just having fun. I feel like it's so important to remind ourselves that video games are just games, right? Have fun with it, and if you're not having fun, take a break, however long that is. Enjoy your real life. But at the end of the day, I keep coming back to video games because I freaking love them. I have a passion for them. And when I play video games, I feel great. I feel like, oh, this story is freaking amazing. These graphics are really cool. This gameplay is really, really fun. It's not for a profession. I know that I'm definitely a content creator. And you are one as well, but we have a fundamental love for video games, and we have for a very, very long time. And I feel like once you lose sight of that is when you start becoming kind of toxic, maybe not intentionally, maybe not even consciously, but I feel like that's what causes a lot of those negative interactions that you see in Valorant and that.
Absolutely. And that just like kind of bring that home for me. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do Goblin Gang Entertainment, and why I wanted to do. I was happy you brought Geeks and Goblins to the table for me, because I needed to step away from always gaming for content. I was at a point where I wasn't playing video games for me, and I was just playing video games because, like, okay, I need to grind out some Valorant, I guess, because people. Valorant's popular, and granted, actually, I guess that was a bad example, because now I actually really love Valorant. But either way, it got to a point where I wasn't completing games that I've been waiting for to play, just because I wouldn't have grinded out for content. That's a big reason why I haven't finished Cyberpunk 2077. I love that world, I love that game, but it transitioned into content for me, and that sucks. But that is where it is now, and I think I know I'm not the only one. If you spend any time on like streamer talk or Twitch talk or any of those other content creation talks, burnout in this industry is so real, and it's very seldom talked about. And if you have any favorite like streamer talk channel that you watch, or any TikToker that creates content, they'll tell you, like, make time for yourself. And
Yeah.
I feel like the kids coming up in gaming right now don't really know how to do that for themselves. It's just the grind. It's just the grind, and it's even getting into schools, man. Like, I'm a big proponent for esports in college, like college esports, because it gets kids into school and it gets people, wanting to play. I super support that, but I just think it's funny how it's even bled into there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're completely right about that. And I feel like it's not just video games, though, right? We have people who are habitually just distracting themselves every single day, not because they want to watch the show, but because because of FOMO, essentially. And I feel like a lot of that is video well, where people are like, oh, all my friends are playing this brand new game. It's not something I'm necessarily interested in, but I have to play. If not, I won't be included in the conversation.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird, man. Cause like back in the day, I'm talking about like the PS2 era, and even before that, just games were games. Like, you didn't care about what a reviewer said about a certain game. If you liked the game, you would keep playing it now. But I know so many people that if they see it, if a game had like less than a 7 out of 10 from their favorite reviewer, they wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, though. Everyone has different viewpoints, different things that they like or dislike. Try it out for yourself. It's just, have video games become too big for our own good?
Have they become too big for our own good? I think if they have, we did it to ourselves. It's like I said earlier, like, we asked for video games to be bigger. We asked for video games to start getting recognized. And now video games are up for Grammys, Like, video games are up for Academy Awards. Like that's insane. Like, we asked for this, so we have to, we have to be responsible for that as well. We asked for video games to be acknowledged as an Olympic sport. And now we have esports as well that is that transcends even some traditional sports from a viewer perspective. They draw in insane numbers. I think there are positives and negatives. I just think it's down to to the individual really to be careful,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. What I hope most for the culture of gaming is really just the sense of community to be more inclusive. I hate that, I had to turn. I hate that it took me until 29, 28 to feel comfortable playing League of Legends. Like, it shouldn't have taken me that long for a game that's been out as long as it has been. Feel comfortable jumping into a lobby of Overwatch and turning my mic on and being like, "Hey guys, I'm a Zenyatta main. Let's do this. Good luck, have fun." I just want gaming to be inclusive again. I want everyone to, appreciate everybody for being in the lobby. And, if you're bad, take the time out. What good do you get from telling somebody who's bad at a game, you're trash? You suck. Uplift somebody and say like, "Hey, bro, maybe the op isn't for you. Try switching out to the Vandal, see how that works out, see how that works, and go mid, Don't engage the jet." Like stuff like that, I just, and maybe it's a pipe dream, but it's such a beautiful community that could be so much more inclusive than it is.
I feel like with a lot of it's the same thing with a lot of different aspects of our life. We talked a little bit yesterday about what was happening with Roe v. Wade. I'm not going to get too much into it on this episode, but like you said about video games, we kind of did this to ourselves. So don't we technically have sort of a moral responsibility to be that change that we want to see? Like you said, just being nice, uplifting each other on the chat. Not like if you see someone else shitting on your teammates, just maybe sticking up for them instead. That's just that positivity we need to put out there. And I feel like maybe if enough people do that, things will change. But the way it's currently going, people who are genuinely kind-hearted, they are turned off by a lot of those games. I know that Friendly Feline will never ever touch League of Legends because of its reputation, and that makes me sad because I haven't played League of Legends myself, but every time I watch it, I get so excited to want to play it, and then I remembered I have to play with those types of people, and it turns me off on it. It turns Friendly Feline off of it, and it's a very sad state, to be honest.
So I have a question for you. How much of the responsibility do you hold on developers to enforce positive environments in gaming? So, Riot, has obviously the report system. Most games have their report system. Multiplayer games have a report system where you can report toxic behavior or, throwing, various things. But, a lot of people say they're not even effective. I've ran into, me and Azu ran into a Valorant match where I'm not going to repeat these names, but they found a way to throw very harsh racial slurs into their usernames. And the thing that bothered me wasn't so much that that I ran into it. The thing that bothered me was how long had it been there?
Yeah.
How long had it been there? One, before anybody took action, but two, there are back end ways to see things like this. There are supposed to be, checks and balances to make sure, the N word with the hard R is not in somebody's name, regardless of how you spell it. And, I do think that we don't hold developers responsible enough in some ways to make sure that some of these toxic behaviors are weeded out.
I guess it depends on the game, right? Because we've seen with some developers, I think the new anti-cheat and just a moderation system for COD Vanguard bans people's MAC address, their hardware address.
Yeah.
So you can't even make a different account and log into the same computer. And I feel like that is very, very strict, but in the best possible way when it comes to things like what you had just mentioned with racial slurs. But with games like League of Legends, what's stopping you from creating a brand new account and just being toxic again? That's the thing, right? I feel like developers have gotten much better over the past couple of years when it comes to moderation. But there's only so much that they can do. There's
That's
only
fair.
so much that their artificial intelligence that they create can do.
That's
There's
fair.
always going to be things that fall in the cracks, and I feel like that's where reporting comes into play. But I feel like none of these issues are truly going to be solved until there is an incentive to be positive, an incentive to be good, instead of punishing those who are negative and toxic. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Having a positive feedback loop. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what shape or form that can take, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel like those are questions for higher powers. Um, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how that can take place. I don't. But I feel like until we get to that point, we're just gonna keep having people treating video games like it's their personal therapy session. The same way that we have a bunch of old ladies and old men coming to retail stores and cursing out customer service workers for their own, therapy. It's sad. It really is sad.
Yeah. Well, I'd hate to end this particular conversation on a negative note. So just some of the things that, that I've seen that are part of this culture that are amazing. I don't speak about my old job as much as I used to anymore, just because, I've put it behind me, especially like the negative parts of it. But some of the most amazing experiences I've had in gaming came with my last job. For those that don't know, I helped with college recruitment for esports leagues, esports college leagues. I helped run tournaments, and I think one of the blessings that I had from that was I did get to go to a bunch of live events, and seeing kids anywhere between the ages of maybe like 16 to like 18, 15 to 18 in some instances. Seeing those kids in an environment where they were encouraged to game for their future, and seeing the camaraderie in a non-toxic environment was mind-blowing to me. I think back to many of tournaments that I've gone to over the years, and it's a lot of like FUs and you suck, your team's trash. Like, it's a bunch of that. If you can go online and Google COD tournaments, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's seeing these kids like on the main stage winning and losing and dapping each other up, and reassuring the other team like, bro, that was amazing, like that what you popped off round 3, stuff like that. Seeing that, and even like I can think of one moment specifically. I can think of two moments actually. One's very funny and the other one was really heartwarming. We had a tournament in Foxborough, Boston. Massachusetts, pardon. But we held a tournament there, and one of the kids just like went nuts on, like, I think it was Valorant. Like, I think he got an ace or something like that. And literally right after the last kill, this kid just stood up and was like, "I'm a golden god." It just screamed it, man. It was insane. And like, I was like, yo, this kid is nuts, man. Like, yo, and like just seeing that, like, brought like a warm peace to my heart. And that kid got, if I remember correctly, that kid got he got signed to a college that day.
Nice.
He committed that day, I believe, or at least his team or something. I can't fully remember. But the other thing that warmed my heart was a tournament I went to in Florence, South Carolina, and we did Smash, we did COD, we did like 2 or 3 other games, and nobody signed up for Smash really, besides these 2 kids, and I think both of them were like 14, or not even. I think they might have been really young, but like they were just so happy to show up and like play Smash and be surrounded by all these like older kids that were here for like Rocket League and Valorant and Overwatch, and they were just so filled with like joy and excitement over being able to play this game that they love and see that it can lead them on a better path in life. And people hyped them up. They came and watched them play their sets, and they hyped them up like, "Oh my god, this is insane." Like, we had it on the big screen for people to watch for them. Like, it was insane, man. And that's like the positivity in this community and in this culture that is so very seldom talked about. A lot of those LAN experiences and multiplayer experiences aren't like how they used to be, or it's just animosity. There's so much like love and connectivity in the esports community. So that's my ending on a positive note, just as to a little bit of the good that I've seen in gaming culture.
I think it goes to show you that a lot of the toxic culture that we do see in modern video comes from the anonymous side of things, right? From the internet side of things, where you're hiding behind your username, you're hiding behind this persona. But I mean, like you were saying, the in-person events, and not just events, but talking to like coworkers, talking to friends, that connection is stronger than it probably ever has been, and it's very nice to see, man. It really is, and it makes me excited for the future of video games. Of course, we do need to be cautious about certain things and certain behaviors that we see. But as soon as you step out of the League of Legends chat and you go to your friend's house and you're all playing Mario Party or playing Mario Kart and just like having fun together, like it's a great feeling. It really is.
100%. 100%. The I love gaming. I'm always gonna love gaming. I'm always gonna love gaming. I'm always gonna love comic books, and I'm always gonna love sitting here talking to you about them. I hope this show never ends. I hope it never ever ends. I hope even on a day where we don't even know what to talk about, we just get on here and we're just like, "What's up?" I just hope it never ends. I always have a good time sitting here and pontificating on the greater machinations of nerdy culture with you, my friend.
Same, bro. Same. It's always fun. And dude, like even outside of Goblin Gang Entertainment, you are one of my closest friends, and it's always fun talking about video, whether it's on stream or off stream. And I want to take this time to just invite everybody on chat currently. Some of you I know personally, some of you I don't, but I would love to get to know you, because as you've heard for the last 20 or so minutes, connections are the lifeblood of video games. It's what keeps it fun. It's what keeps it positive. So you're more than welcome to join our Discord. It's on the description of this very episode. Come on there, introduce yourself. It's a fun group. It's a nice Goblin gang.
It is a nice Goblin gang, and we need more conversation. Oh, like all these little things. Let's kick up the conversation a little bit further in the Discord. Check it out. And please, if you have not liked or subscribed to the channel, please, if you feel so inclined, if you've been entertained, if you're already subscribed, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're here and you're lurking and you're looking for a dope fam to come and kick it with pretty much every day, honestly, at this point, please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Let's get the feed going. Let's get the people seeing. We want to reach the masses. We want to reach the world. Utopian Revolt. Tell them where they can find you.
Well, you can find me right here. I'm going to be streaming Tuesdays and Fridays, and Saturdays, of course, for Geeks and Goblins. You can find me on Twitter at UtopianRevolt. You can find me on the Goblin Gang Entertainment Discord. But yeah, you guys just say hi. I love you. I may not know you yet, but I love you. And kind people are my kind of. So let's keep it positive, guys.
All right, and you can find me here as well, right here on the Goblin Gang Entertainment channel. Transitioning. I will not be streaming on Mondays anymore. Going forward, I'll be live on Wednesdays and another day that I forgot. You'll see it on Twitter. Speaking of which, follow me on Twitter at OgGoblin Games, where you can get the quickest information that you may need, as well as you go and drop up in that Discord. I know we're talking about it a lot. Drop on in that Discord and get all the latest Goblin Gang Entertainment conversation and news right at your fingertips. But we will actually be live here tomorrow playing some Shredder's Revenge, right? Is it tomorrow or Monday we said we were going to do it?
Monday night.
Monday night. Yeah, Monday night. Don't come back here tomorrow. There will be nothing but reruns. We will be live Monday with Shredder's Revenge, some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've been talked into it only because it was free, but we will be here, and I will be suffering alongside Utopian Revolt. He's so happy, it makes me sick. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Go and get go and get out of here. Be gone with all of you. Thank you for tuning in to another fantastic episode of Geeks and Goblins. If you like what you saw, hit a like. Go ahead and subscribe. And no sad faces. And we will see you all on the next one. Thank you, and good night.